It was a busy day in schoolyards across much of the province.
School is back in session.
Very, very, very nervous.
I'm definitely excited. Kids across the province went back to school today and excitement is in the air. I'll have more on that coming up.
A lot has been lost, a tremendous amount has been lost over the past 100 years. The good news is that there's still quite a bit there. There's still there's a lot of questions that can be answered if these things are protected and treated respectfully.
A race against time for archaeologists to search for priceless artifacts and study the site on Beothic Lake before it's all washed into the water.
Open pen aquaculture has had more than its fair share of critics in this province, but you won't find any of that here at this trade show. I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A collective sigh of relief today, everyone from homeowners to some of Canada's premiers. The Bank of Canada announces it will not raise interest rates, at least not yet. It's the first break after 10 consecutive rate hikes since 2022 as the bank worked to curb runaway inflation. The bank kept the rate steady at 5% today, but it didn't rule out further hikes in the future. And Premier Andrew Furey says he thinks we haven't felt the full impact of those increases yet. He says he's happy with the Bank of Canada's announcement this morning. He wrote a letter to the bank's governor on Tuesday asking him to consider the effect of further rate hikes on the cost of living in Newfoundland and Labrador. In his letter, Furey wrote, "These are challenging times for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and indeed Canadians as many struggle to make ends meet given increasing costs of living and the increasing need for affordable housing. The continued raising of interest rates from the Bank of Canada is adding to these growing pressures." But critics of the letter say provincial governments shouldn't try to influence Bank of Canada decisions. Furey, meanwhile, defended his letter today.
I felt it was appropriate on behalf of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador to express my view and what we're hearing with respect to the cost of living, especially families who are faced with variable rate mortgages or mortgages that are coming to renewal. Again, not instructing the Bank of Canada, but expressing the view of Newfoundland and Labrador to the Bank of Canada, which is the appropriate relationship.
The Bank of Canada held interest rates steady today, but they're still really high. How is that affecting people? We asked.
How it affect me in every way possible.
Well, our rent went up to start with.
Yes.
Yeah, it increased at least like $200 for a downstairs basement apartment. Went from 800 to 1,000, just like that.
Just look around us. You know, you can't really plan to go out and buy anything unless you're going to add an extra $100 or $200 on it. If you go to buy furnace oil, I mean, forget it. You know, you can't afford to fill up your tank anymore because of the interest rates. You know, and it's the same. Go to buy a house, forget that, right?
I do have savings, and I was thinking about buying a home. I was looking around, but I'm certainly going to wait now. I guess indirectly, it's affecting everybody. You know, that's complicated. So are gas prices. So is, you know, inflation overall. You know, everybody's feeling the pinch these days.
Is there anything that you didn't do this year because of the interest rates were so high?
Yeah, like buy stuff.
If you want to take a trip, I mean, the airfare is ridiculous. The exchange, if you're going to the States, I mean, you know, it's not worth it anymore.
It's all the way around, and people don't even realize it. It's on everything. It's not just if the government decides to put up the rate. It's already there. Like, we're paying on it every way we look, right?
Higher interest rates mean higher payments and very difficult, affordable housing difficult.
Was there anything you couldn't buy or didn't buy this year because of it?
Well, I'm careful on everything I purchase because of high interest rates. So you just have to be careful and just keep an eye to where your money's going.
Did it change even the way you make financial decisions this past year?
Oh, guaranteed.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, but well, you can't go spending money like you used to years ago, because you got to try and hold on to every dollar you can.
Well, it's the first day of school for most students across the province, and that means new classes, new teachers, and new friends. Here and now, Sarah Blackmore visited Gould's Elementary this morning.
These kids are getting ready to go inside their school for the first time this year, and some are going in for the first time ever. But teachers and staff have already been here this week and last getting everything ready.
And of course our teachers were in last week and they're preparing the classrooms and getting all them nice and warm and inviting, so getting bulletin boards and stuff up. So if you went inside the school, you'd see how beautiful it is. It just makes it very inviting for of course our students and our parents as well.
And the weather didn't disappoint.
It's a beautiful day outside. Austin, you just told me what the temperature is today. What is the temperature?
25, might feel like 30.
Different kids have different things that they're excited for.
Are you guys going to be doing any clubs or sports this year?
I'm going to be in basketball this year. Music.
Oh, you like music? Oh, I love music class. Do you sing or play an instrument?
Yeah.
Do you sing?
Yeah.
Oh, I love singing. And do you sing in a group like in a choir?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite class?
Gym.
Gym class for both of you. Okay, all right, that's awesome. And what's your favorite thing that you do in gym class?
When you've done the sports day, like there's a bouncy castle. Same.
A bouncy castle at sports day. Are we playing any sports or going into any clubs this year?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I'm playing hockey.
You're gonna do hockey. Awesome. Which is probably outside of school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some kids, the first day is still a bit of a mystery.
Which grade are you going into?
Grade 1.
You're going into grade 1? Are you sure it's not kindergarten? I know the confusion. The first grade is kindergarten, but you're going into kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
And for others, this day has lots of emotion.
Pretty nervous myself, but pretty excited for her too.
Did you go to Gould's Elementary?
I did so.
And do you remember your first day?
I do not.
For those nervous about starting school, Principal Kylie has some advice.
Enjoy the day. I know, because coming into the school, sometimes a bit nervous when they're starting off, haven't seen their friends in a while, but that generally dissipates in no time at all, and they enjoy the day and get right back into the school routine as well, kind of thing.
And while most kids went in an hour ago, some parents, like those for these kindergartners, need a little extra time to say goodbye. Sarah Blackmore, CBC News at Gould's Elementary.
Well, our cameras were also in Torbay today at Juniper Ridge Intermediate, where 600 students headed back to class. Here Now's Jessica Singer checked out the excitement and those first day jitters.
Who's excited for first day? Awesome. How was your summer? Oh, I'm feeling very excited. You know, the new school year always brings a little bit of anxiousness and excitement, but we're ready. We've got everything ready to go, and we're very excited to welcome our students.
What time did you wake up this morning?
4 o'clock.
Why'd you wake up at 4?
I couldn't sleep.
Were you nervous?
Just a little. I'm really nervous about what classes I'm going to be in because I do have some teachers I'm really hoping for, and I was also thinking about school and having to wake up early again.
I hope I get a good class. That's what I'm hoping for. That's my biggest nervousness, because I want to be in a class with friends. Might not be able to learn in class with friends, but at least I'll have fun.
Yeah, very good. I'm real excited to be interviewed and be in the school here. Woo.
And I'm excited because I get to have fun with my friends and doing math at the same time, science and everything.
What went into picking out your outfits this morning?
Oh God, I messed up my whole room trying to find an outfit last night, and I was like, what do I wear, Mom? And it was crazy.
So it took you a long time to choose an outfit?
Yes. It took me like 5 seconds because I had it picked out like a week earlier. Well, not really, because I had them help me.
You picked out your outfit a week early?
Pretty much, kind of.
I think my favorite memory is showing up on day one with new outfit, cracking open that new scribbler, and just having everything new. Day 2, it's not new anymore, but day 1, everything is new and shiny, and just getting back and seeing my friends and meeting my teachers again, it's just an overall excitement. Yeah, it brings back very fond memories. And in this career, we get to relive that every year.
Well, Archaeologists are taking steps to learn all they can from a site on Beothic Lake before it's washed into the water. As Ryan Cook reports, the former Beothic dwelling may be losing the fight to erosion, but it's already produced some ultra-rare finds.
This is where the Beothic lived, and likely where they died. The circular walls of a house pit are still evident at Beothic Lake some 200 years later. It's now at risk of washing into the water, but some items have already been saved.
This is an iron deer spear.
Actual tools used by the Beothic to hunt caribou. Others have been found before, but the ones on display at the rooms pale in comparison of quality. Archaeologists also found this, a perfectly preserved harpoon tip, matching a drawing by Shauna Dithit of a tool used for hunting seals.
It's sort of a really special site. It was, completely intact at the time that it was found, and was sort of an amazing demonstration that there still are Beothic features still preserved in this area.
Any remaining material in the area is at risk. Beothic Lake was dammed and flooded in the early 1900s and is still used as a hydroelectric reservoir. The site around the house pit is quickly eroding, causing concern among local residents and archaeologists. Brake says his office is doing all it can to learn from the site before it gets lost to erosion.
A lot has been lost, a tremendous amount has been lost over the past 100 years, but there's still, the good news is that there's still quite a bit there. There's still there's a lot of questions that can be answered if these things are protected and treated respectfully and so on.
Brake says it's also important that people don't disturb archaeological sites. A lot of damage was done here by amateurs with metal detectors over the past 60 years, on top of the damage done by erosion and development.
We lose a tremendous sort of opportunity to learn more about these people. We lose a portion of the very limited sort of physical legacy that still exists for the Beothic. So every feature matters enormously, every artifact and every site.
The more that's lost, the less we can learn about a people who can no longer speak for themselves. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Aquaculture has taken some big hits in recent years, but despite that, the industry in this province is growing again with the government firmly in support. It's in the spotlight this week at the industry's trade association's first conference in 4 years. Here now's Terry Roberts reports.
Aquaculture has its critics, but in this room today, nothing but champions, including this small town, South Coast mayor, who says seafood farming has transformed his region.
We were a town where plant workers work 14 weeks a year. Now they're working 50 weeks a year. Most people down there got 2 vehicles now, because the wife probably works on fish plant and the husband works on the farm. So it has changed dramatically. There's lots of money to go around.
The sting of a near collapse in 2020 is still fresh in the minds of those attending this conference. Salmon production plunged by half that year, a combination of mass die-offs and market upheaval caused by the pandemic. But production is bouncing back, and so are the smiles.
People are opening up more Airbnbs down there now. We never had that before. There's not enough hotels, so they're expanding the hotels. People are actually building houses in our town now. Before, people were looking to leave. Now they're actually building houses, homes, and people are looking to raise their children there now.
And here's another sign of recovery, the industry's first cold harvest trade show in 4 years.
It's important. It's almost a $500,000 investment into the industry, so we look forward to what the results will be.
And a provincial government that's fully supportive, announcing a new research and development fund today to help expand the industry beyond major species like Atlantic salmon and mussels.
We know the world is in high demand of fish protein, and it's a developing industry. We're investing.
But there's a cloud over this industry. Critics say it pollutes, harms the environment, and threatens wild salmon stocks. Not so, say industry leaders. Disease management is better than ever, they say. New technology means escapes are also reduced, and new rules require companies to be more transparent.
We're no different than oil or wind or anything, but it's in our best interest to protect our environments. We don't want to damage where we're growing our products to or anything. So to continue growing in the same areas, we're going to look after where we are.
I think some people got the notion that you're growing fish in open water and that it's destroying the environment or is destroying other species. We haven't seen it in the waters in my district.
So it's all in for aquaculture.
This industry is going to continue, is going to thrive, is going to provide protein for the world demand. And so I'm happy to be here this morning to talk about, in a positive light, not in a negative one, to say that this industry is alive and well, and we're supporting it, and fish is going to continue to grow.
The provincial government has set a lofty goal for this industry, annual production of 50,000 tons. Now, industry leaders here tell me that goal is achievable, but it might take a little longer than planned. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, police were out on the highways over the weekend. The RNC says it issued more than 200 traffic tickets over the Labor Day weekend. Police say thousands of vehicles were stopped at checkpoints in the Northeast Avalon, Corner Brook, and Labrador West areas, resulting in 220 tickets. Most tickets were for speeding or aggressive driving. 5 people had their licenses suspended for traveling over 150 kilometers per hour, while 4 lost licenses for impaired driving.
Well, what an absolutely beautiful day outside today. Thought I'd step outside. It was a beautiful day for the first day of school. Certainly, it didn't feel like the first day of school. It felt like the first day of summer, that's for sure. Let's take a look at some of the temperatures out there. Nearly every single station up across Labrador broke a record today, broke their September 6th record today. And we have temperatures in Makovic that actually broke the all-time September record. And then across Labrador, we're still seeing those temperatures well into the 20s, 26 degrees in St. John's, say 27 in Terra Nova. So certainly lots of heat out there. If we take a look at what's happening though up across Nain, big temperature drop, 26 degrees this afternoon down to 13. You note that wind shift. Westerlies bringing those warmer temperatures, northwesterlies bringing those cooler temperatures. And as we see that cold front continue to sweep across Labrador, temperatures plummet tonight. And eventually those temperatures will plummet across the island as well. I'll get into the full forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the Premier announced the first Well-Being Week today. He says it's a time to raise awareness of the ways social factors affect people's health and quality of life. But the leader of the province's new Democratic Party came out swinging, criticizing the announcement. Jim Dinn says more action is needed to help people hit hard by the skyrocketing cost of living.
I came here expecting, I guess, something substantive. We got a week. And I don't know if that's going to help the young mother I just spoke to you about with the 3 teenage children. I don't think it will. I definitely don't think it's going to help the gentleman the person who's sleeping in the bus shelter, and it's not helping those seniors who are facing, and those on fixed income facing significant rent increases. And it's definitely not going to help the people who are panhandling because they've really got no other choice.
The long list of the Scotiabank Giller Prize was announced today in St. John's. The CBC Books Contest sees a jury-selected list of 12 books compete for a $100,000 prize. The announcement was made by last year's winner, Suzette Mayer.
So honored and so excited to be here today to announce the long-listed authors for the 2023 Scotiabank Giller Prize. I feel so good. I'm so excited to be here today. It is exactly that. It's passing the torch on. It's the big handoff, and I can't wait to read these new books. I'm just really excited about this new crop of writers, and the whole cycle of going from long list to short list to the final winner. I think it's super exciting. The long list was selected by an esteemed 5-member jury panel featuring award-winning Canadian authors Sharon Bala, who is with us here today.
Books arrive in batches and we read them, and then we had 4 or 5 meetings since the winter. There are 5 of us and we basically hash it out. It's like the most intense kind of book club you can imagine. We're reading these books as readers, as professional readers, but we're also reading them as professional authors. And so we're getting into questions of craft and motivation and ambition and theme and, at the level of the sentence, is there something off? At the level of the story arc, is there something off? How is the ending? How is the beginning? Yeah, it's real nerding out.
Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. the 2023 Scotiabank Giller Prize long list announcement.
I'm really proud of this long list. It was tough competition, and obviously there are always books that don't quite make it that I would have loved to have seen, but there's only 12 spots, where each one is its own unique, bespoke thing, and it's a real mix. So you've got books that are high concept and wacky and absurd, and then you've got quiet, elegant, like in-depth character studies.
I do have advice. Enjoy every minute of it. Just enjoy it, just bask in the moment. I think sometimes as writers we can overthink things, especially when you think about prizes and what they mean, because you don't want to get too weighed down by having your understanding of your work influenced too much by what other people think about it. But this is massive, and I think just go along for the ride and enjoy every second of it. It's a thrilling place to be.
Guidance office will be closed today because they're going to be covering a class. So that just shows that that's the hidden reality that our schools are facing and that parents aren't aware of. Because if schools are open, and people presume everything is cool. But if an emergency room shuts down, say in the healthcare system, it's obvious. It's not, the service is not available there.
Well, students are back to school, but the head of the Newfoundland and Labrador Teachers Association warns there's a shortage of substitutes. More on that coming up.
Well, temperatures might be warm today. They are going to dramatically change across Labrador, but when is that going to happen across the island? I'll have the details coming up.
Well, Ashley, you're back in the studio now, but really outdoors is the place to be tonight. What a beautiful evening.
It is. Now that I'm in here, I notice how chilly it is actually inside with the air conditioner. But yes, an absolutely gorgeous day out there today. Take a look at the temperatures pretty much across North America. You can see that ridge still very much building and edging into Atlantic Canada, or most of Eastern Canada, really. Montreal, 32 degrees today. Toronto, 32 degrees today. 26 was the daytime high in St. John's this afternoon. But yes, lots of records broken, even across the island as well. And Happy Valley Goose Bay, the hot spot at 32 degrees. So certainly lots of warmth. Now we've got this cold front, and that is going to change the game as we head through the night tonight. We've got lots of sunshine out ahead of it, but in behind it, or along the cold front, we have the chance of some showers and even the risk of some lightning as we head through the night tonight. We still have the remnants of what used to be Idalia to the south of Nova Scotia. That is still that air mass that has the warmth in it, the heat and the humidity, which is very much being felt across the island as well. But you can see that cold front where we're seeing those warmer temperatures well to the south, and then the colder temperatures to the north. And as that continues to sweep through, we will see those that drop in temperatures. Still looking at a humidex near 32 across Makkovik. Happy Valley Goose Bay, a little bit of humidity, feeling more like minus 34, but there is quite a bit of it out across the island. 32 is what it's feeling like in Gander, with a thermometer reading 25 degrees, and then pretty much the exact same thing, even a degree warmer, or humidex a little bit warmer in St. John's. Feels more like 33 at the moment, but still an absolutely beautiful evening. Now this humidity is going to stick around for another day. We'll see a big drop as we head into Friday as that cold front moves through, brings in some colder, or let's say more fresh air, drier air. But that humidity is set to return as we head through the weekend and into the beginning of next week is when we're going to see that drop again in that humidity. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride over the next couple of days. But as you can see, just some of that cloud cover, even a few showers across the western portions of the province at the moment. Not a whole lot happening to the east, but things will change as we head through the night tonight, as the area of low pressure that is south of Nova Scotia at the moment moves a little bit closer, and it's going to bring the potential for some thunderstorms like I mentioned. But overall, we're looking at an unsettled evening. Fog patches returning pretty much across the island tonight. Some heavier showers certainly possible by the time we get into the morning along southern areas of the island. And as far as Labrador goes, along that cold front, it is sparking some lightning at the moment, but that risk will continue as we head through to the overnight tonight as well. Temperatures dropping quite significantly up across the Big Land. 7 to 10 degrees is your overnight lows. The island will stay warm, 15 to 19 through the night tonight. Generally light winds for the most part. A bit breezy though for those of you in Lab West, where you're looking at northeasterlies between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. The risk of thunderstorms tonight pretty much along coastal areas of Labrador along that cold front. As we head into tomorrow, really the early morning hours along the south coast of the island, but most of us are at the risk to see some thunderstorms tomorrow. Generally, they won't be overly impressive, but we could still hear a few rumbles of thunder as the day goes on. You can see that happening in some of the heavier pockets of showers here. They'll be widespread, but still that chance right across the board. Still the chance of some sun early on in the day as well, but as the afternoon rolls through, we'll get into more cloud cover. And then these showers will continue to head south across the Big Land, and you're looking at that chance through the day as well. Temperatures tomorrow are pretty much going to stay where they are. They are within a couple of degrees for the most part. Winds will be out of the south around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour along southern areas of the island, as it has been. Still a tad cooler, so only 19, 20, 21 degrees through the day tomorrow. Here's that big change though. So even though your temperatures along the strait will start warm around 18 degrees, they will drop as that cold front moves through, so don't be surprised to see that. But generally much colder, temperatures 6 to 10 or even 11 degrees. Nain, you should clear out as the day goes on. You'll see some sunshine, but not until later in the evening. So that's your forecast. We'll look ahead when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, continuing our back-to-school coverage with students and teachers settling into the classroom, the head of the province's Teachers Association joined Adam Walsh on CBC Radio's The Signal to chat about teachers and the lack of substitutes.
But there's a substitute teacher shortage. So when I'm hearing in Corner Brook at the end of the school year last year, certain schools are short 10 substitute teachers, which means the allotment of teachers at any given time is down 10. How can you properly relay curriculum? And even putting curriculum aside, I'm best serving my students when I know how they are on any given day or any given moment. If I see something off, I can deal with it. That's truly what a teacher is. You got your thumb on the pulse of what that kid is all about, and you can track them and support them where they need support, plus the curriculum.
Yeah, getting ready for today, I was looking at it was teacher outages. Also, you've still got pinned on Facebook #Hidden Reality NL. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that has been our tagline for
a while.
Yeah, for a while now, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. Is that many times parents don't realize that schools are open, but it's reduced capacity in terms of services being offered. Very commonly, a reading specialist, for example, will be told on any given day, you cannot be the reading specialist today because you have to cover grade 2. Or the teacher librarian is pulled and said, okay, there will be no services from that area because you need to cover phys ed. Tons of examples. And another one is the guidance office will be closed today because they're going to be covering a class. So that just shows that that's the hidden reality that our schools are facing and that parents aren't aware of. Because if schools are open, and people presume everything is cool. But if an emergency room shuts down, say in the healthcare system, it's obvious. It's not, the service is not available there. It doesn't. It can't keep running. So that's a message that, again, I try to be as positive as I can on the first day of school because it's good. And a lot of kids are having a great day today. But there's a lot of kids struggling, and I guarantee in the next couple of days, the strains on the system will be evident.
And of course, university classes are gearing up too. John Harris, Munsu's Director of External Affairs, Communication and Research, was also on The Signal today. He says the province needs to keep tuition low at Memorial University to attract more teachers.
Trying to solve problems like the teacher shortage. So the logic of making it twice as expensive to get a teaching degree doesn't really makes sense to me. And you can look at nursing and the amount of unpaid work that nurses have to do to get a nursing degree in terms of their placements. In other areas like social work, where there's 99 social workers that are missing, that's also putting strain on teachers. And so we're making it twice as expensive to go into these professions, and then wondering why nobody wants to be a nurse, or why we can't keep teachers, or why we can't have keep social workers or bring new social workers in. So I think that we need to start being smart about how we use Memorial strategically for this province, and that means by investing.
I feel like more and more people are treading water and just trying to keep their heads above water.
It's sink or swim in this economy. Interest rates hold steady, but bankruptcies are on the rise in this province. Coming up, we'll speak with an insolvency trustee about how many people are in financial holes they can't dig out of.
Killer.
Back to our top story now. While the Bank of Canada's decision to hold steady on interest rates comes as a relief to many, financial pressures from all directions are causing the number of bankruptcies in this province to rise. This afternoon, I spoke with Sean Stack, an insolvency trustee in St. John's. He talked about what he's been hearing from clients and how he felt when he heard interest rates remain unchanged.
My reaction was a sigh of relief, to be honest, and I think I shared that sigh with a lot of people because everything's been getting so expensive, from food and groceries to housing and everything, and just any little break that we can get, even if it's not a break, but just maintaining status quo is a relief, because obviously nobody wants things to get more expensive. I feel like more and more people are treading water and just trying to keep their heads above water. You know, I was speaking with somebody recently, and they said that their mortgage renewed in the spring, and their monthly mortgage payment on renewal went up $800 a month. And that's a tough pill for most people to swallow, and it's going to make it so that there's less discretionary spending available for other activities and things that they want to do in the community. You know, a few years ago, the story was the downturn in oil and gas out west and people coming home without jobs and stuff. And that's not the story anymore. More the story now is just the cost of living. Everything is expensive, and everybody is complaining about how expensive everything is, from food and groceries to school supplies. We're in back to school now, and it's always an expensive time for people trying to shop for their kids going back to school. And then, of course, housing costs, whether it's rent or mortgages or lines of credit. It's just gotten really expensive for people. Talking to a couple of people who are on variable rate mortgages, and their payments monthly are no longer touching the principal of their mortgage, so just paying interest. And other people who their monthly payment hasn't gone up at all, but their amortization is just extending and extending and extending to the point where they feel like they're never going to pay it off. And it's become a big stress for a lot of people.
How many bankruptcies are you seeing this year compared to past years?
During COVID, everyone assumed that we were super busy, but the opposite was true, because collection activity had stopped and people were under a lot of subsidies and things. But that's starting to change. And so in the last year or so, the statistics show that in Newfoundland and Labrador, there's been about a 30% increase over the year before. So they are increasing as, you know, the subsidies have wound down, collection activities picked up, and cost of living's increased. But we're still nowhere near where we were in terms of the numbers of insolvencies, bankruptcies, and consumer proposals prior to COVID. We're still a long way from those numbers. Hopefully we never see those numbers again.
So up by 30%, what is that in terms of like the hard numbers and the number of people who are filing?
The 12 months ending the end of July, there was just over 2,200 Newfoundlanders who had filed for insolvency in those 12 months. I would be surprised if it doesn't continue to increase, to be honest, just from, you know, talking to anybody out there and how hard people are finding it in terms of their household budgets and keeping up with the cost of everything. And you know, anecdotally, when people come and talk to me about anything, not just my work, they just assume that I'm going to get really busy really soon, because they expect things to get worse because things have gotten so expensive and because interest rates are up, and we haven't seen the full effect of that. Because generally they say that there's a 12 to 18 month lag to see the full effects of an interest rate increase, and we've had increases as recently as June of this year. I suspect a lot of people will need help in the next year or two.
For someone who is feeling the pressure and they're looking for a way out, they may not be ready to call someone like you yet. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's feeling that financial pressure to try to get themselves out of it before they reach the point of no return?
I think if you're comfortable doing it yourself, I think the first thing to do would be to sit down and do a good household budget. What's coming in, what's going out. And there's some things that go out every month, and there's some things that go out once a year, like insurance might be an annual expense where you have it coming out monthly, or property tax or things like that. And if it fits, great, then you know that your budget can work as it is. If it's not fitting, if there's more going out than coming in, then what can you tweak? Can you cut out an expense here or there, or can you add a bit of income somewhere else? If it's not working at all, then you might need to get some help with how to fix your budget, or make structural changes to your spending habits, and because there's expenses that are more easily fixed than others. Of course, like you can try to spend less at the grocery store, or you can drive less and spend less on gas, but it's harder to change things like your rent or your mortgage. So if you need to make structural changes, then that takes a bit more planning and forethought.
The East Coast music scene is mourning the loss of a giant. Bruce Guthrow passed away last evening. He leaves behind a legacy of being one of the most accomplished musicians from Cape Breton. Matthew Moore reports.
Roof don't leak, kids are fed.
Bruce Guthrow, one of Cape Breton's most well-known songwriters, passed away on Tuesday after a battle with cancer. He had just celebrated his 62nd birthday on August 31st. Many know Guthrow for having two separate careers, one being a hometown boy who loved playing for a local audience.
I mean, the music here is incredible. What comes out of the East Coast is amazing, talented people.
Artists say Guthro was most comfortable playing in the songwriter's circle. Small, intimate shows with his guitar, some friends, and a few dozen audience members. Those who play with him said Guthro could control the room with just a story and a guitar.
The fearless leader, and the crowd would go quiet. And there was just so much respect for, like, he's just a master craftsman. He's a songwriter.
The other career, playing massive UK shows in the band Runrig. Kyle and Seamus McNeil with the Baron McNeils remember the humble beginnings in Sydney mines. The two musical families grew up together, and many songs and stories were shared around a campfire.
And we used to have the Brown Street Woods, we called it the Brown Street Country Club. And what that was is on the weekends, we would gather in the woods and around a fire and sing songs. And actually a lot of famous singers from Sydney Mines came gathered around that fire with Bruce. And
huge overseas, obviously. Huge in Canada as a singer-songwriter. He's written with the names just go on and on and on, and the people that have recorded his music.
Those who knew him say his legacy will live on in his songs, but more importantly, through his family.
As Bruce being a mentor to me, for me to turn around and have that same reciprocity with his kids is quite a gift.
Guthro leaves behind his wife, Kim, and two children, Jody and Dylan Guthro, and countless music fans around the world. Matthew Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
The city of Yellowknife is starting to come alive again. It was evacuated for nearly 3 weeks because of a major wildfire. CBC's Juanita Taylor is there for the residents' homecoming.
Here at the Yellowknife Airport, the first of many flights have started arriving, bringing residents back home. Flights are being chartered in from mostly Alberta. Others will be coming in from Manitoba and Yukon. The Northwest Territories government says it will fly people back over 5 days. People are also arriving on commercial flights. And residents also arrived on Highway 3. What was supposed to happen at noon local time happened an hour earlier when the barricades were removed, letting vehicles through. Some people slept in their cars last night at the checkpoint, anxious to be one of the first in line today.
We wanted to avoid the traffic. We thought it'd be a charade in here this morning. Because when we left when we got evacuated, there was like 1,000 cars ahead of us.
Only about 100 vehicles were waiting in line at the time the road reopened, allowing for an orderly stream of traffic. Many knifers are still in Alberta, choosing to avoid the rush of getting back in. Some medical services will still take some time to get the city fully functioning again. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Insurance fraud experts are warning of a national crisis of vehicle theft. A CBC News investigation has tracked down vehicles stolen from Canadian driveways all the way to Africa. CBC's David Common breaks it down for us.
Here in the West African nation of Ghana, there are a lot of signs of Canada, because if you know someone who's had their vehicle stolen, or if you've had your vehicle stolen, there's a decent chance it's ended up here. Take a look and I'll explain what we mean here. So, Dodge Ram here, this one, we took a look inside. There's insurance documents for the original owner, North York, Ontario. It was likely stolen out of their driveway at night, although we are now seeing increasing carjackings, more violence that's used in what is a surging crime in Canada run by organized crime. And the authorities in Ghana are pleading with Canadian authorities to do something about it, to take more action, because in just the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, 27,000 vehicles were stolen last year. It's not just Toronto either. Take a look. The original license plate from Quebec on this Ford F-150. You know, up here, that's a CRV. This vehicle came out of New Jersey. But for the most part, these are Canadian vehicles. 2/3 of them in this lot seized by authorities here in Ghana. This particular vehicle, see if we can pull it off here. This, we know, is from Ottawa. Reported stolen, was attempting to be sold here. How do they get here? Well, inevitably, when they get stolen, they rapidly get put onto trucks, onto trains, and into the port of Montreal. They are shipped onwards from that point and get to places like this, get to Ghana, but get beyond, get throughout Africa and the Middle East, where they are sold as legitimate vehicles driven by people. And of course, it's costing Canadians dearly as our insurance rates go up to pay for this surging auto theft. David Common, CBC News, Accra, Ghana.
All right, before we get to the weather, Ashley, the Northern Hemisphere has been having its hottest summer on record.
Yeah, according to figures released today by the UN's World Meteorological Organization, last month was the hottest August ever recorded, and July surpassed all records and was the hottest month ever. Wow. And June broke all records as well.
Earth just had its hottest 3-month period on record, with unprecedented sea surface temperatures and much extreme weather.
Well, the scientists say it's not just the record high temperatures that cause concern, but the persistence of the conditions that lead to the records. So far, September temperatures are well above normal.
And that was evident yesterday as students headed back to class in other parts of the country. A number of school boards in Ontario and Quebec took special precautions to beat the heat, and some boards suspended outdoor activities. Others rotated students between their classrooms and air-conditioned parts of their school. Some classes were canceled altogether.
Wow. Yeah, certainly hot here today as well as students went back to class. Beautiful day, but definitely it seemed like above normal temperatures.
Oh, it certainly was. Yeah, we broke records, pretty much across the board for Labrador, and then broke a few records across the island as well. So the heat isn't going to last all that much longer. But speaking of some heat, let's talk about what's going on in the tropics. I mentioned Lee, which was a tropical storm yesterday. That has been upgraded now to a hurricane with sustained winds at about 120 kilometers per hour, moving currently west-northwest at about 23 kilometers per hour. Now take a look at the forecast over the next 3 days, well, till we get to the weekend anyway. Looking at some rapid intensification, potentially even a Cat 4 hurricane, or forecast to become a Cat 4 hurricane by the time we get into Saturday and continue that way. And it does look like you can see the cone of uncertainty certainly increasing as we get further in time, but definitely a storm to watch as we head through the next couple of days and into next week. Now, I just kind of wanted to point this out. Environment Canada, or the Canadian Hurricane Centre, put this graphic out today. I thought it was a really good depiction. This is Franklin. Now, we started talking about Franklin fairly early, about the uncertainties in the forecast. There's the actual track of Franklin, but over the 10 plus days that we were watching the storm, you can see the range of model predictions within that white line. That's technically what we call the cone of uncertainty. Once they start to forecast, there's that cone of uncertainty. It means the forecast can be anywhere in that track. But in this case, it's just something to keep in mind that we're going to have to watch over the next 10 days. Now, taking a look at the forecast as we head into Friday, temperatures dropping across Labrador, staying cold, I should say, but starting to drop across the island. Still looking at an unsettled day through your Friday. Eastern areas still looking quite mild at about 23 degrees, and pretty much unsettled as we head into Saturday as well. Better chance of seeing some showers across the island. Same thing up across Labrador as we see those temperatures starting to warm up on the west coast again. Like I said, we're going to see some of that humidity return up across Labrador, staying on the cold side. Here's your long-range forecast, 24 degrees into Sunday. Monday drops a tad, but we're still looking at that chance of some showers in the forecast there for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. For central Newfoundland, as well as the west, a bit of an unsettled weekend. By Monday, we should see the return of some sunshine, but temperatures are still quite mild, 21 to about 26 degrees as your daytime highs. Cooler for Labrador into the teens as we get towards the weekend, and overnight lows will be in the single digits. Just before we leave you tonight, this is a great shot. This is the Shoreline Heritage Hiking Trail in Bay Roberts, and Paul Martin shared that great shot with us. And if you have any that you would like to share with us, you can send them to Facebook. But the best place is to email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Paul. My goodness. And the weather, what a great start to September. It still feels, well, I guess we still are in summer, right?
We are still very much in summer. We still have a few more weeks to get through.
Yeah, my goodness, but it's fantastic weather to start. All right, well, that's it for us on this Wednesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.